Emma Caldwell was the kind of person who saw beauty in everything, a leaf swaying in the wind, a kind gesture from a stranger, or even a quiet moment of loneliness. After moving back to her small hometown of Willow Creek to take care of her late grandmother's bookstore, Emma expected peace. What she didn't expect was to meet two people who would change her understanding of love and life forever. Daniel Parker was the first one to walk into her story, literally. He came in one rainy afternoon, dripping wet, looking for a book on classic poetry. Emma remembered the moment vividly, the sound of rain against the windows, the smell of coffee brewing, and his smile, calm, polite, genuine. He was an engineer who loved words more than machines, and from that day on, he visited the bookstore every weekend. Their connection grew naturally, built on long conversations about life, dreams, and the quiet beauty of everyday things. Then there was Luke Mitchell, a painter who had just opened a small art studio across the street. Luke was everything Daniel wasn't: spontaneous, passionate, unpredictable. He saw the world in colors and shapes, always carrying paint on his hands and ideas in his head. Emma met him when she accidentally wandered into his studio, drawn by the music and the scent of turpentine. Their first conversation lasted hours. Luke made her laugh easily, something she hadn't done in months. As weeks turned into months, both men became an important part of Emma's life. Daniel was stability, quiet mornings, shared tea, and long walks by the river. Luke was energy, late-night painting sessions, laughter echoing in the studio, and dreams of art shows in faraway cities. Emma didn't realize she was at the center of something beautiful yet complicated until one evening, while closing the bookstore, Daniel said softly, "Emma, I think I've been falling for you." Her heart skipped a beat. She smiled, not because she didn't feel the same, but because a part of her wasn't ready. "Daniel," she whispered, "you mean a lot to me." The next day, Luke surprised her with a painting, a portrait of her reading by the bookstore window. "You make the world look softer," he said with his usual charm. "And I don't want to stop painting you." Emma felt torn. Daniel was the man she could build a life with, Luke was the one who made her feel alive. She didn't want to hurt either of them, and she didn't want to lose the quiet happiness both brought her. For days, she couldn't sleep. She replayed every laugh, every conversation, every shared moment. Her best friend, Grace, noticed her struggle. "Emma," she said gently, "love isn't always about choosing who's better. Sometimes it's about understanding what your heart needs to grow." Those words echoed in Emma's mind. She realized she wasn't being fair, not to Daniel, not to Luke, and not to herself. So one evening, she invited both of them to the park near the bookstore. The autumn air was crisp, and the sunset painted the sky in shades of gold. She looked at both men, kind, honest, hopeful, and took a deep breath. "Daniel, Luke," she began, her voice trembling, "you both have given me something I didn't know I needed. You've shown me two sides of love, peace and passion. But before I can choose anyone, I have to choose myself. I need to know who I am when I'm not trying to belong to someone else." There was silence, heavy but understanding. Daniel nodded first. "That's the bravest thing you could say," he said quietly. Luke smiled faintly. "Then promise me something, you'll never stop painting your own story." Tears filled her eyes. She hugged them both, not as lovers but as friends who had helped her see the world differently. Over the next few months, Emma focused on herself. She expanded her bookstore, turned part of it into a small art gallery, and began writing again, essays about love, healing, and growth. Daniel moved to another city for a new project, but they kept in touch. Luke's art began gaining attention, and his studio thrived. One day, Emma received a postcard from Daniel. It read, "Still reading poetry. Still grateful for you." And from Luke, a small painting arrived, a sunrise over the sea, with the note, "For the girl who learned to choose herself." Emma placed both gifts in her bookstore window, symbols of two hearts that once met hers, and a reminder that love isn't about having both, but about appreciating the journey they gave you. She didn't end up with Daniel or Luke. Instead, she found peace within herself. And as she walked down the same street months later, sunlight on her face, she smiled, knowing she didn't lose either of them. She gained herself. That was love,